Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Odyssey House Journals, one of the most watched and listened to podcasts about recovery and addiction anywhere. My co host is Rachel Santizo.
Hi, Randall.
Hi. And our guest is LeighAnn Marsh, who I will introduce in just a second. But first, a little quiz.
Okay.
Matt has given us some statistics
Thanks,
on
Matt.
people who are watching or listening to the podcast. Now, I'll ask both of you if you had to guess, because figure this goes out on the internet and people anywhere can watch or listen to it. What would be the city that would be the most, that would listen or watch the most to this podcast? Go ahead.
I'm going to say Chicago.
No, they're down the list.
Good try, though. I like it, the Windy City. I'm going to say Atlanta just because I just went there.
No. Would you believe it's Columbus, Ohio,
Really?
with over 1,000 people tuning into this? You'd think it might be Salt Lake since we're locally based here.
And that's interesting. We didn't even try for Salt Lake.
No.
We went far out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? 1,000 people. Maybe I went to school there, okay? And my addiction to alcohol got pretty heavy because I was a bartender. For those of you in Columbus, I was a bartender at a bar called the North Heidelberg, which is near the corner of High Street and Framby's, right on one side of the campus. So I helped other people get hooked on alcohol too, along with myself. So
I feel like our ratings might have just gone up in that city
in
now,
Columbus,
too.
because I localized that. Isn't that amazing? So it goes in order: Columbus, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, Brussels, Belgium.
Wow.
Don't know why. Farmington, Las Vegas, Ogden, Yonkers, Logan,
Pretty cool.
South Jordan, Magna, Saratoga Springs, Richardson, which I believe is in Texas, American Fork, Provo, Orem, and San Marcos. Where's San Marcos?
I don't know.
California, maybe? I don't know. Isn't that interesting? So welcome everybody. That's pretty wild.
That's awesome,
I know.
actually.
So even though my Ohio State Buckeyes lost really bad to
I know, I was
Michigan,
going
it
to mention that,
yes.
but I didn't dare.
So a lot more people went to the bar after that, so to
Yeah.
drown their sorrows. Our guest today is LeighAnn Marsh, who's a longtime friend of both Rachel and me.
Yes.
And I think it's safe to say, well, first of all, LeighAnn spends every day in jail. But it's her job. But before that, she did spend time in jail,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I sure did.
So you're returning to your old home, sort of, only in a professional sense. Tell us what you do right now.
Oh, that's funny. So right now, I have the opportunity to work as a case manager, and that really entails like running groups, getting to have individuals that you work one-on-one with, and reports to the judge, documentation, stuff like that.
And this is in our CATS program that's run by Odyssey House, but it happens right inside the jail.
Yeah.
I always have trouble. I had to write this down. Do you know what CATS stands for?
Correctional Addiction
Treatment
Services. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's referred to as the CATS program. So describe the CATS program for people. This is for people who come into jail with drug charges, right?
Yeah, so they, yes, they have drug charges, and they have to be, they have to be in the jail in order for that to happen. Like they can't be out on the street and come in.
I want to. Not that you'd find many people saying, "I want to come into jail."
Well, that's
You never know.
interesting.
You never know.
We actually do have family members that are like, "How do we get my son in your program?"
Wow.
And it's like, well, we don't want you to get your.
Yeah, right.
Let's
He-
do an
he has to
intervention
be
first.
arrested
Well,
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Like, as a family member, to get them off the streets and safe.
Yeah,
Actually,
true.
that makes complete sense to me.
And,
Yeah.
and your sentence has to be at least 3 months because that's how long the program
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah, and then judges. So judges can have you go as part of your sentence. LDAs sometimes will push for that, and
Legal defenders,
yeah.
for those
Sorry,
of you who don't know.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
Yes.
legal defenders, and then of course there's always every once in a while a prosecutor that says, let's give them that opportunity to go do treatment before we throw the key away type thing.
And this is inherently a treatment program that's pretty much like our residential treatment programs on the outside, right?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and it's probably, it's a lot of one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
get to know these people.
Yes.
Are these really, you think about it, these are people in special pods within the jail.
Yep.
Are they dangerous people? I mean, you work with them every day.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, I'm just going to throw it out there that first of all, we for confidentiality, we don't ever look at their charges. That's not my concern. I don't need to know that. And really, if you think about it, as humans, we tend to judge and have biases if we do know. And so if I don't know what your charge is or Rachel's charge is, I'm probably going to benefit you a lot more. Because what happens if I get rubbed the wrong
Randall's
way?
a bad dude.
Yeah, then I'm like, oh, why is he my individual, right?
Yeah.
And then I forget to meet with you. And yeah, definitely some, we maybe people would assume that they have, they're not good people, but I don't agree with that. One thing that the jail does insist on, and I'm guessing Odyssey as well, is that they have to be in minimum, which, right, so there's a level of care in the jail itself, which is minimum, medium, max.
Right.
And so our gentlemen can't be in max and come in. They have to be in blue, which is minimum. And then they get to be in there for 90 days and get to have someone work with them one-on-one every other week, even though I see mine every week because I can and because I think it's cool, right?
Yeah.
To get I mean, what a great experience. You know, we have some really, really great clients. I would almost call them a peer. They're, I don't think of them as what they think. I think of them literally as my peer. Like,
And speaking of being
Right.
peers, we'll get back to cats in a second, but let's talk about your past, since you literally are a peer of them. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or were.
yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to again. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, I found myself, just like many other people, I found myself addicted to a substance that completely devastated my life, my family's life. And I turned to things that I would have never thought that I would do. And that's, committing crimes against our community and which entails, right, stores, people, all that. And found myself committing crimes and
To get money for the drugs.
right.
Right.
And interestingly enough, to also survive, kind of, right? Because if I have a new shirt, and you want my new shirt, I can either sell it to you for drugs, or I can actually, maybe you have a sandwich or two that you're going to offer me,
Right.
And a place to sit for a minute. So it's kind of weird how that works, but
So how long were you in active addiction?
6 years straight. The only time I didn't use was when I was in jail, but a couple times I used in jail too. So,
And how did it all come to an end? I know you took a road through
yeah.
cats and drug court and all that kind of stuff, if you could describe that.
Okay. So, so I was in the CATS program, but I wasn't in our CATS program. I was in it a long time ago when it was ran by somebody else, another treatment. Which, if you're not ready, you're not ready to quit. And so I don't think I was ready to begin with, because I was making sure to kind of gyp the system. Like I was sharing earlier, we have to write an autobiography. And when I was in CATS, I mean, I didn't even talk about my third son. No one in staff knew about it. No one questioned it. No one came and did one-on-ones with you. I mean, nothing like that. And so where I work is the CATS, which is now run by Odyssey, and it's completely different. right? I think our clients are actually getting something out of it compared to how it was before, because people were invested. And so, I found myself leaving incarceration with, this great idea that I was going to do really good and might as well make a change. And that lasted 2 weeks. And then I was right back to what I was doing before. You don't have that support network. You don't have anything like that. And so why wouldn't you? But then I found myself, my last day of use was, just like anyone else's. It was my saving grace. I got arrested that day, and I had made a really sick. I like telling this part of my story because it's kind of interesting, although people have similar things. I remember making a promise to myself that morning. Never kept any promise the whole entire 6 years, but all of a sudden I was going to keep this promise, and that promise looked like I was either offing myself or I was going to jail. I was going to make one of those things happen, and I was dedicated. And so I went, and I went to a local store, and I was putting items in my purse, and I wasn't trying to be sneaky. I walked in with my purse flat like this, and I went to walk out with it like this.
Rather obvious.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I don't know. I know. I mean, my arm was literally resting on it by the time I walked out.
You wanted to get arrested.
Yeah, because I think subconsciously, I knew that I was so stuck on this promise that if I didn't get caught, that I would have to follow through with that commitment and take my own life. And I wasn't really committed to that, right? And so it was a false promise that I was going to keep. And so, but I didn't know enough about the system at that time. I don't know why I didn't know this, but if you only had so much on you, they just write you a citation and send you on your way. And
Had you taken enough or not?
no. So here, how funny that, like, I was probably going to have to still do this promise, right?
Right.
And I was like panicking now. I'm like, oh my God, I got to keep this promise. I mean, like, all of a sudden I had integrity about keeping my promise to myself. And but fortunately enough, they had actually filed on a felony, and I had a warrant out, a felony warrant, and so they had no choice but to call the police because you can't just let a felon go. And so, or back then you didn't. And so they arrested me and took me to jail. And I think it's silly, the same thing as other people. I tell the story that, you get in the back seat and and I confess that I'm addicted to a substance, because every other time behind, what are you going to come off of? Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I've never done drugs in my life.
Yeah.
I'm just tired.
Yeah.
And I own everything in my purse. That's my whole life. But and so I thought, gosh, I don't want to do this. So I just told the officer, like, hey, I've been using meth for 6 years straight, and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop, but I want to stop. But I don't know what to do. I don't have the tools, nothing. And then that's when he suggested to talk to someone about going into drug court, and that's what I did. And that's where I went.
What made you feel that you needed to get arrested, that you couldn't call a treatment center, or that there weren't other options for you? In that moment, your only option was to either commit suicide or to get arrested.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
were those your only two options?
You know what, Rachel? To be honest, I think it was, for me, I didn't know enough about recovery and community and all that. I didn't really know that there's these things called treatments.
Even though you were out on the street using for 6 years, you didn't know
No, because all
about
the
places like First Step or Odyssey or anything like that.
No, till I worked for them, didn't know about them. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that there were places you could go eat, that places had
Yeah.
food for people that didn't have food.
Like St. Vincent de
It's-
Paul Kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I have a similar experience. Like, I had no idea until I wanted to.
When you were out on the street, you didn't
Yeah.
know either.
At all. I opened up a phone book, and that's when I found the VOA. So it's interesting to hear that side of the story.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely never heard of the VOA
Yeah.
out there.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
No. Or if I did, I didn't pay attention because I wasn't ready to quit. So
Yeah, just how
you know.
uneducated we are, whether for the ones in addiction or the family members, just the educational value about addiction and the services out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, hopefully now with the internet and widespread use of smartphones and everything else, more people are hearing about services available.
Right,
Right.
and the courageous
Yeah.
stories, or
Yeah.
going back into the jail, like we say, like she can't get away from jail, which is true,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But it's stories like this and having the courage to go back in there where we can create that change
Yeah.
and the education about it.
So
Yeah.
how long was the process going through drug court and staying clean and all that kind of stuff?
I started in, my last use was August 16th of 2010. And so I pled
So you've
in
got 11 years now?
11.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
Over
Yay.
a decade, this girl.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, it's crazy. But I can't remember when I actually pled into drug court. I can just tell you it was in 2010. And I pled in, and I wasn't one that went and did it for the 12, 15 months. I made sure I was going to get every ounce of benefit, and I stuck out for 3 whole years.
In drug court for
Yes.
3 years?
I'm
a
being
trooper.
I'm being so facetious right now because if you go longer than 15 months, you're effing up somewhere. Okay, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and so I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing. So just kept setting myself up for failure to stick it out, stay again. They call it the bad list. Maybe they changed it now, but I would not ever be on the good list, on the gold list or whatever. I was always the last one to be seen by the judge, and it was always like that.
It's Leanne again.
Yeah, what's her excuse going to be today? Your Honor, wasn't my fault.
So you got to know the judges pretty well, I suppose.
Yeah, and I never used, right? It was other behaviors that I was doing.
Because you're given assignments and things like that and showing up and UAs and stuff.
And they give you a no contact order, and you're supposed to follow that. It's from a judge. But I felt like that I was being wronged, and I wanted to do my own program. I was gonna go and see the person they gave me the no contact order on, and I paid the price for that. Like, man, I stayed in drug court a long time because of that.
But now I see you and a couple of your buddies who you went through drug court with, speaking to drug court, going to drug court graduations, and really supporting drug court.
Yeah, I even worked my first big kid job in recovery was working at drug court. A friend and myself made a program. We came up with a program for peer support, right? Because now peer support's really a popular thing. Well, when we started it, it was just they were just starting to even start classes again. They hadn't even done classes for years. And so, but we went to the county and drug court and said, hey, we have this idea. And after us never letting up, they finally, I think they already had it in the works kind of, but then we pushed it. And then, so we got hired. And that was the best, coolest job ever, to sit with your peers, have a cup of coffee, and talk about what's going on. You're positive on a UA, you want to talk about that. What's going on with you? And when you tell me that you didn't use, I'm going to tell you that's bullshit,
Yeah.
right? And call you out. Because I know what that's like. And then going into the courts, I'd get to sit in the court and support my peers. And that's when I became really good friends with the judges, because I was there every week, nonstop, supporting, helping, doing whatever, and I loved that so much. And so and then my peer that I hang out with, she got hired on with us as well, and then it was like the coolest job ever, because we had three of us that we worked well together. There was no power struggles or power trips. We all respected each other, and it was just smooth. is like this. And then, some things came up that out of our control. And so some of us had to go different directions. And I was starting grad school, and so I had no choice but to kind of step forward. But
Describe your life now in recovery as opposed to your life before.
oh man. So now, I was thinking about this the other day. Even before my addiction, right? I always thought I was this really good friend. I was a great friend. You should want to be my friend, because I'm a great friend, and I would tell you that. But I wasn't a good friend. My friendship came with a cost. So I would say, "How can I help you?" But the minute you took me on it and said, "This is what I need," man, I was marking it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you owe me.
Keeping score.
Yeah.
And so that's not a good friend. Who does that, right? And so it was really interesting how my addiction taught me all these things, that how I was, my defects, let's say, right? And so then now, because I've had that lesson, I had that lesson thrown in my face in my addiction, and then in recovery, you learn to be really humbled. I mean, every single thing that I get to do, I'm not kidding, like, it almost makes me want to cry just thinking about it right now. I am so grateful that people actually are like, "Hey, Leanne, do you want to come talk? Hey, Leanne, do you want to," I'm just like, what? Like, I don't have anything very interesting to say, But I guess some people do hear what I have to say, and they appreciate it, and they know I show up for them, and so now it looks like I pay my bills on time. I paid off my car 2 years early.
Wow.
Yeah, and even before my addiction, I would pay 3 months worth of payments, and then you were repoing it, because I was not making the payments. So that taught me a lot. I have a really cool relationship with my kids that, wouldn't have been this way if I hadn't had my addiction.
Sure.
But they have a brighter view of addiction and recovery now, and they're really supportive and caring, and so and that's great. I get to eat every day. If I want to eat 3 meals a day, I get to, and I can afford it. And I have a house, and I can leave my purse sitting somewhere, and everything's going to still be in it the next day. My driver's license, my credit card, my debit card, still going to be there. I don't have to worry about, right? I don't have to worry about sexual abuse or physical abuse happening as you're sleeping, right? Like, I get to wake up safe. I get to go to bed safe. I just, so many really cool things that I took for granted before, because I didn't understand that, and today I do. Today I understand what I've gained and what to be appreciative of, So
So if anybody out there is watching and thinking about seeking recovery, that's a great description, right? Right. I'm happier. You're happier in recovery, right?
Yeah, that was an incredible description. Actually, it makes me want to cry. Like, I'm like, wow. What are you like being in the jail? What is that like for you? So we talked a little bit about the CATS program, and when we were talking about the drug court, it made me think of, it was kind of similar to Fit to Recover. I remember when drug court comes out and we talk about it, right? Like, is it effective or is it not effective? Right. And so it seems like drug court was that pivotal point for you that really helped you and transformed you. And so I remember, like when Fit to Recover came out, and my family and people would judge me like, that's not going to work, or you spend more time with them, or you care about them more, because I was trying to get my kids back. Like, what was it about drug court? Like, what was the effectiveness? Like, how did drug court change your life?
Thank you for asking that. So I think my therapist gets sick of hearing this part of the story, but really, I got to tell you, my therapist is really what started me on my journey of change, and I remember the first time I met her and telling my mom, I got home and I told my mom, oh, me and this chick are not going to get along. Like,
Yes.
yeah, like
It's that
she
right
can
there.
F off, right? And I remember telling her, it's like we were like this. And but she never let up. Like she was like, I am the same way to my clients as she was to me because of how she was.
Yeah.
And my clients don't like it most
Yeah.
of the time. But I didn't either. But I have 11 years now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Something worked.
Something
Right.
worked. And it was like that, kind of that weird, like, I hate to use the word tough love, but it was like that tough love, not
Yeah.
tough love. I'm not going to let you bullshit me, and you're going to figure this out. And so she helped me to make that change, and then she made it so that I believed in myself. By her showing that she believed in me. Gosh, that makes me want to cry too. Every time I say
You
that,
can cry. We have
Yeah,
Kleenex
that's
around here
okay.
somewhere.
I have my mask.
Yeah.
But I mean, that therapeutic relationship is such a neat thing. You get a bond with them. You talk about stuff that you don't talk to other people about, and you trust them. And so I think that's what was for me. What made me believe in drug court was her belief in me, that I could do something different. That's even why I started going back to school to get a degree, was because of her. I wanted to be like her. Like when I graduated with my master's, she actually, you could get 3 tickets, right, for your graduation up at the U, and put a plug in for the U. Just kidding.
Hey.
This is a master's in social work, right? Yeah.
Master's in social work. But she was one of them I gave the ticket to. So she lives
special.
actually in Washington, and she flew here for my graduation.
Wow.
And came, and that was really cool. And so, and then just, I don't know, like after a while, my case manager there, we had a little come to Jesus conversation, because I felt like he was treating me like I was a number, and I was like, I'm tired of being treated like a number. And so I sat down at his office one day and said, hey, so your grandson, that picture of your grandson right there, like, I mean, do you love him? Do you think he's cool? And he goes, yeah, and he kind of started bragging about his grandson. And I said, well, that's super cool. But I don't know him, and I don't feel the same way you do. But I would never treat him any differently because of that. I would treat him the way you are.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. So how about you give me that? Because you're supposed to be my case manager and support and help me, and it's like you rather see me fail, even though that's not what he was doing, right?
Right.
That was my what I saw, and then after that, him and I, man, when I see him now at the graduations, he's always, because we have to do it on silly WebEx or whatever, but he's always, sending me a message like, so good to see you, and so I think that's what made it work for me.
Yeah.
That I was worth it. I was worth this effort, and they were even willing to make me worth it. And so I had, how can you not take advantage of that, right?
Right.
And then once I started working there, gosh, I mean, the judges are so freaking cool. Like, they're all just amazing.
You didn't think that at the beginning.
I know. I was thinking, did you think you'd ever say that?
Heck no. Like, and technically, I mean, sorry, not sorry, but I don't know that I really cared for the judge I had. I feel like he was done. Being a drug court judge, it's a position that you have to ask for. Like, you kind of get picked, and do you want to do it? And yeah, I do. Then I got to learn about stuff, right? And I think this particular judge was done. I think he had been like, I'm burned out, I'm tired of it.
Sure.
And he was starting to get replaced. And so, I don't know that his experience was, it definitely wasn't because of him, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But like Judge Skanke, I always laugh about people that would have him as a judge, because he really is like one of the hardest judges. And I just thought, man, because he doesn't let up. Like, I mean, he's not giving up on you. You want to give up on yourself? Cool, but he's not letting go till every resource is given for you. And that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, gosh, how exciting that I was able to have that opportunity. You know, that is really, people don't look at it like this.
Yeah.
You know, people right now are kind of like, they're scared of treatment, I think, in a lot of ways.
Sure,
And so
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
they're not invested. Like
Yeah.
my group was really invested in our drug court. And so, but it was also because we had that drive, and not that they don't have the drive, but we just had a different view of it, and there was more cohesion happening, and people wanting you to do well, and not that they don't do that now. It's just it was a different era, different time,
Yes.
even though it
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago, but it still was different, and so. But now I think that with like, for example, the CATS program, I think that it is a definite sounding board. I look at it as, even though you didn't even ask me this question, I'm sorry I'm going
no,
off on
please,
this little
like,
tangent
yeah,
all of a sudden,
no.
sorry. I think about now when I'm at work and I think this is a sounding board for them to leave and go do treatment, like residential treatment or
Yeah.
outpatient, right? They already have that one step ahead of everybody else.
Right.
And that's unfortunate they have to do it while they're incarcerated, but fortunate that they have that chance to do it while they're incarcerated.
And they are fortunate to have you, as Odyssey is fortunate to have you working for
you.
us. So believe it or not, our half hour is up already.
Wow.
Doesn't it go quickly?
Yeah.
Sadly,
I know,
it's already
I know.
over.
Leanne, you're a great guest. You went.
Yeah.
Should we say hi to Columbus here?
Hi,
Hi, Columbus.
Thanks for
Go,
watching.
go Bucks!
I
Next
know.
year.
Right. Sorry.
You know, what can I say?
Yeah.
Thank you. Just
Yeah, thank you.
She's been a great guest.
I
you
know. I don't
Thank you.
want this to end. And I definitely want to give a shout out to drug court. I haven't been involved in drug court. I know a lot of people that are, and our CATS program for sure. I think anything that we can do while people are incarcerated, and the people that go in there and that are willing, CATS has a big space in my heart. But anything that we can do to help individuals, because I do believe in rehabilitation, you know, over the incarceration. And I think, thank you for all that you do and going in there to help these people, our people, my
Yeah.
people. So,
And they've
thank
done
you.
massive studies that this really reduces
Yeah.
recidivism if you go through the CATS
like
program.
just somebody
Yeah.
to see you, like you've been saying, right? Like just somebody to see you and say, I'm here. And like what you were saying about Judge Skanky, like, oh my gosh, when's the last time that anybody, even addiction aside, that would just not give up on you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To the extreme that he wouldn't. I think that every human being would like that.
Right.
So someone like me in addiction, like, please, you know, that's fantastic
That
to
you
hear.
care.
Yeah, enough to
Hey, just
do
to let
that.
you know I care. You
Yeah,
mean
like,
something. You're a
wait,
face,
about
you're
me?
a voice.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
I'm important.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
opinion
right?
matters. Yeah,
Ah.
I mean that's what the CATS. That's what I think. Sorry, that's what I think the CATS program does, though, is that they help
Yeah.
build. I and a lot of other people I work with help to build them up, and help them to be able to want to transition and do better. I think.
Yeah.
You're
This-
worthwhile. You
yeah.
can
Yeah,
do this.
this
You can
misunderstood
succeed.
population
Yeah,
needs
great.
that. So
Yes.
thank you for doing that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Leanne.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you,
Thank you
Anna.
for watching another edition of Odyssey House Journals.